So, picture this, if you will. A town of, let's say about 2,000 people, a couple days journey from a bigger city, something along the lines of like 100,000 or so. Not necessarily in the middle of nowhere, but nothing really over the top or important happens here, at least on the world stage. If you ask the people who live there, they would almost certainly tell you a different story. Things happen here that are important all the time. Various minutiae that to them is their entire world. People pass through the town from time to time. You go from point A to point B, and this is the in-between where you stop for the night, go to the inn, get some food, then leave again. With me so far? I'm assuming you are. I have now described the beginning of like 40% of the first edition adventure paths, and I think every fantasy novel that I have ever read. As fate, destiny, or the plot would have it, as soon as you and your friends roll into this place, something horrible, terrible, cataclysmic, or otherwise bad is going to happen to this place, ranging anywhere from angry monsters attacking the town to the evil and somehow weirdly technologically advanced empire right next door choosing to expand over, to one of your traveling companions being cursed and here comes the shadow monster to come chase you down or whatever, which about 50% of the time wipes the town off the map, but 100% of the time starts you and your friends on this path that turns you from neophyte spellcasters and people who have learned which end of the spear is the pointy end to archwizards, generals, kings, so on and so forth. What if that second part didn't happen? In case you're not aware, my name is Tommy. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I pose a question. What if that small town you started in wasn't burned to the ground by an aggressive expansionist empire? What if the Festival to dedicated church was not sabotaged by humanoids raiding the village at the behest of other humanoids to do horrible, terrible things, which are tangential at the time, but definitely become much more important to a larger Rise of the Rune Lords plot is what I'm getting at. What if you show up to a place, get invested in it and its people and their struggles, and that becomes your campaign? What if there's not a lot of violence? What if you're just playing like Stardew Valley within the realm of a combat-focused fantasy TTRPG? Would it be fun? Would it be rewarding? Would you still get to like hang out and laugh with your friends? I'm here to posit why yes, all three are very true. Remember, if you're liking what you're seeing, to like, subscribe, ding the bell, all that cool stuff. For now, I've got a lot to say about this one, so let's dive in. Okie doke. So if you follow me on Twitter, you already have seen the impetus for this video, thinking about this week's min-maxing for fun and profit, which I won't spoil. It's a really exciting video. I'm very excited for it, and I'm really excited to share it with y'all. It dawned on me about halfway through building that character that I was building a character that needed a very specific set of circumstances to function, which is often the case within the bounds of TTRPGs. Everything from make sure the monsters aren't immune to mind affecting to like make sure your party's okay with you being holier than thou. But this goes even deeper. Perhaps I'm just biased. I've been GMing Strength of Thousands twice, and I've joined it now as a player as well. But running that campaign has me straight up reanalyzing what I enjoy about tabletop role-playing games. If you haven't played Strength of Thousands, but you're thinking about it, let this be the sign from on high. Do it. This is a mild spoiler. Skip ahead like 10 seconds if you don't want it. To explain a plot badly, the first part of the first book is literally just, you've come to magic school. Cool. Here's the community in which you live around. Your job is to make it a better place. And I've kind of known that's been my power fantasy for a very long time. So far, that campaign has proven to me pretty darn conclusively that that can be done without going out and fighting the big bad evil person or raging against an evil tyrannical empire or even like the monsters in the hills are hungry. So far in that campaign, my players have bought chickens, delivered the mail, made a ritual, and yet we're all still having fun. We've all seen the meme, right? The GM makes this very complex, over-the-top, amazing story, yet the players just kind of attach themselves to the NPC with the funny voice, and that becomes the thing they're focused on. Now imagine that being the entirety of the story. Imagine the object of the game being, you live in this community, this wherever it happens to be. I use small towns as an example because I think we all remember Sandpoint and we all love it so much. Here's your community. You are a member of the community. It's your job to make that community a better place. In so doing, you get a boatload of world building. I think my favorite flavor text will always be describing what's for dinner. My inner fat kid gets very happy when we talk about food. What can I say? Meeting NPCs with unique personalities, meeting new NPCs, getting to know what makes them tick, getting to learn their backstories, and generally world building therein gets you invested in a campaign really fast. Don't get me wrong, I think combat in TTRPGs is obviously fun. I enjoy rolling dice, I enjoy the RNG, I enjoy the challenge. They told me once you couldn't build a healer in first edition Pathfinder. I've healed people through encounters with Baylors at level 13, so I guess I took that personally. But I think the campaigns that always stick in my mind are the campaigns where, like, a thing happened, we had to go solve it, and in so doing, my party that I was jamming for clearly made a lasting impression somewhere that would have repercussions for the world, possibly even later parties later on. And every class in the game is kitted to do this. Remember that if you have a stat block, you're considered quote unquote heroic. And if you're kitted out at level 1 to go out and fight like small, albeit monsters capable of tearing people asunder, you can probably also pitch in around town. Off the top of my head, to cite examples for loosely everyone from the point of view of Pathfinder 2nd Edition, the Marshals, anybody whose strength base is good at athletics. Therefore, when backyard football breaks out, probably pretty darn good at it. Heavy lifting, boom, got it. Ask your friend the Barbarian. Newsflash, kids. The Barbarian probably has more personality than just sometimes I'm angry and it makes me turn into a bear. Whoops. A high strength score covers everything from we need to get this wall built, can you help us set these wooden stakes in the ground, to oh no, my cat got stuck up in the tree, can you climb that tree? If nothing else, somebody has to deal with the petty thievery and drunken brawls, right? More on that later. Spellcasters obviously can use their magic to influence the world around them. Primal casters being great for like watering crops, for being able to tend to animals. Oh no, the cow's sick, let me talk to him real quick. Occult casters being able to influence people's emotions can make heated confrontations die down real fast. The arcane caster can probably just make enough money to pay for all the things he needs by casting prestidigitation and mending. The divine caster probably has the coolest niche in this setting, in the vein of you've moved to this new area, you worship this deity. This deity is all about, insert what your deity is about here. If it's compatible with the people, perhaps that might help them find a greater meaning in life. And side note, I've been in parties with lots of clerics of Sarenrae who really wanted to heal the world of all its problems and you of all your wounds. But there are a lot of deities who are very focused on like family or specifically communities. There's a whole domain for it. They don't see as much play at the table, but if at session 0, the expectation was, here's your community, you live here, the object of the game is to make this community a better place, the clerics of like Kazutal or Fulgrit, Adanye, Daikitsu, it goes on and on. You don't see these things at the table nearly as much, but they would be super great here. Things like alchemists or inventors, people who are very good at crafting, can start their business and actually like be concerned about how well that business is doing because you're gonna be home. You're not gonna have to dip out of town for a couple months to go to the fortress of the stone giants and murder all of the stone giants when literally like you know what you're getting up to that day. It also becomes ludicrously easy to sell and make the things that people need as you level up, as indeed you should. Sure, an alchemist can make a potion eventually that does 1 billion d6 plus a zillion, but the average person around town probably only has like 15 hit points, so the little potion will probably do them just fine. And if people are healthy, people can do the things they need to do more, town get better over it. The inventor also very uniquely situated for this. Did y'all play Fall of Plaguestone? This is a Fall of Plaguestone spoiler. You meet an elven woman in the course of the campaign who got a very bad injury in the Goblin Blood Wars. It's now hard for her to draw her bow. What did my inventor do as soon as we figured this out? We made her a shooting glove to make it easier. And now in return, as we're going from Fall of Plaguestone to the Slithering to some homebrew to eventually Ruby Phoenix, this NPC becomes very recurring. Why? Because the party played a huge role in that woman's life and a bond has been formed. Much easier to do if y'all live across the street from each other, you know what I mean? Rangers as hunters, rogues as hunters, relying on your sneak attack damage to take down a deer that will definitely just run away if you miss. Hell, rogues are like the best statted for this because they have so many skill ranks. Whatever you need to get up to that day with the party, you can probably hang and at least be okay at it. And in so doing, you tell the story, you accomplish tasks, you learn to work as a team, you probably have some hijinks along the way because this is a TTRPG. And in the middle of that, fun is had. Now, sure, fantasy worlds can inherently be a dangerous place, and it stands to reason if you are growing a town's prosperity, if you are increasing its trade, if this is becoming a hotspot for a local deity, stands to reason that something less than savory might want to take that away, as it's what they do. I'm not saying that we should 100% not have combat in a campaign like this. Even Stardew Valley has the mines, right? Honestly, I think fewer, more far between combats in these settings are all the better, because when they happen, you don't get that big combat fatigue that very combat-heavy games can have. Also, you're very invested in making sure this particular patch of heaven doesn't burn down. And furthermore, let's say that indeed your town is attacked by a local flavor of dragon, whom you dispatch, track back to their lair, and get a boatload of money. I'm guessing that the local shopkeep, whether it's someone in the party or otherwise, is real happy when you show up at their store, slam a bunch of gold on the table, commission a bunch of things, and then leave. Imagine watching that happen in real time when your like mother's sister's former partner's son, small town logic is weird, who is the blacksmith, just made a boatload of money. The entire town benefits from this. I'm very far from an economist, but like lots of money spent mean entire town good for this, hooray, which has clear and present effects in your world that everyone will see and everyone, including the party, will benefit from. With a group of players who are very entrenched, have been playing for a long time, campaigns like this can go a very long way to set up your future games, even if this was a very short game. And newsflash again, y'all, most games aren't going to run to 20th anyway. Building up a part of the world helps set it up for future groups of people who want to leave that part of the world to see the world, fight the evils in the world that do exist, make a difference somewhere else, but then also have a really cool place both to have come from and to return to, who in turn are probably very attached to that place, both in a meta sense because their players are attached to that place because they built it, and because that place had so many powerful individuals who were shining examples of how to make the world a better place. 100%, I'm willing to bet that your players would remember a campaign like this way more than everything else you're getting up to. It's so unique, it literally requires a mental buy-in, and when our investments get rewards, we tend to remember this. So 10 out of 10, a low combat campaign is going on my bucket list. Next homebrew patron game I'm running is going to be something along these lines. But for now, that's all the time I have. What do y'all think? Have we run something like this? Would we run something like this? Would we play something like this? Throw it down in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. For now, thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next time.